If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I've gone through several different studios while I've been on this channel, and pretty much just started this from nothing, you know, in my garage with no AC, no heat. And so after we had moved the studio, the old studio, not the one I'm in now, I thought that you would want a tour of it, so I just kind of shot some video before I tore everything down of what it was looking at and kind of, or what it was looking like, and what I worked out of for 4 years, just to prove to some of you, like, you don't have to start with a bunch of nice things. Like, you can just start, you know, just start making things. And right now we're in a studio that, or I'm in a studio. I've got people that are working with me now, and so I'm in a studio that is not the final resting place. You know, I've got bigger plans. So, you know, we're always working. Everybody's on their own. We're all on in our own place in our journey, and that's okay. Like, wherever you start, just start making something. So here is a tour of the last studio and what it looked like, and some shots of my first studio. Those are kind of entertaining. Okay, so this is going to be one of those videos that I don't love watching because I'm going to be holding the camera, so I'm actually going to just be walking around the studio. I've been in this studio now for 4 years, and as is a lot of studios in Nashville, it's out of my home. Both of my studios that I started with, the other one was actually in a garage. I'll show you some clips of that. It was actually in a garage that I literally tore down the rigging to the garage door and drywalled it. There's no heat, no air. In the winter, I had these work lights that I would turn on that I was using as like my lights at the time. And so I would, it's a little dark in here, I'm gonna turn this on. So I would actually turn those on to heat it up during the winter if I had a rehearsal, if I was recording. And then in the summer, I was just sweat like crazy. So finally, the last summer I was there, I actually had a window unit, and this door to the outside, it had a, this is so redneck, man. It had a window in it. I actually just tore the window out, and I put the window unit in the door of the place, and that was my window unit. That was my air conditioning. And so but it would swing open with the door, so if you didn't watch out, you would get like hit in the head with either the cord that was hanging from the door or the actual air conditioning itself. It was not totally not up to code. Totally not up to code. But then we moved here, and everyone always sees this space and they think it's bigger than it actually is. So you can always start with what you have. Here in Nashville, it's really normal to have a home studio. You have listened to Grammy-nominated and Grammy-winning albums that are mixed and produced and engineered out of homes here in Nashville. And so you can do so much with technology these days. So I'm going to give you the huge tour of my big room. So I'm going to stand in the corner by the door and let you see this room and actually how big it is. So here I am in the door, and this has been my workspace for the past 4 years. You can see it's an 11 by 10, 11 by 12 room. And so right here we just got the basic door right there, old picture of me from a gig years ago. And then I'll just kind of go through and show you what all this stuff is. And I built these corner traps years ago, and the parts of the wall you don't see painted, it's because nobody sees those, or because it got scratched or that was hanging and I couldn't get behind it. So I actually built these corner bass traps, and you can see some others over there, hanging over there, and then hanging up there, and also there and over there. So all of these, I built those years ago and used those. And of course, this is the old kit, and you'll see my rigged up lighting there. I'll turn the lights off, give the full effect. So that's the blue lighting, and we have the foot cam right there, or not the foot cam, the foot light. And then my other blue accent light. And I'm so fancy here that I have it taped to the floor because people kept knocking it over. When we were doing lessons, people would knock it over. And then the setup from above. And then right here, you'll see I have my overhead cam, which goes to, I'm gonna turn the lights back on so I can see stuff, which goes to here, which this cluster of cords used to be the overheads that I used. And then I tore those down, but I didn't want to tear the cords down because I'd have to take all that off the wall. And there's something, I gotta make a confession, I'm not a cord organization guy. I feel a lot of guilt about it a lot of times, but I've promised myself in the next studio, I'm going to be that guy that like organizes the cords and, you know, is anal about wrapping them, and yeah, I'm just not him, man. So I'm gonna get somebody that is that person. So yeah, that's going to be the overhead cam that you see in all of the videos. And then my lighting right here. That's one. This is coming off. Fix that later. And then this is the big closet. I actually took the door off the closet so that I could have more room in here, and it's just not big enough to build anything for storing cymbals and whatnot. So this is where I've kept my cymbals and, you know, gig gear, all of the books that I use, and then, you know, obviously box storage and whatnot. But that's the big storage here. Going on over my stand-up desk that I made because I wanted one, decided over the weekend that I would have it. And so this is usually where the camera sits, right here. You can see it's really tight, and I'm actually having to kind of squeeze around in here. But this is normally your view of me, and now it's not. So yeah, in between there and this wall, there's like zero space. So you can see it's pretty tight in here. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. I like it. It's my little world. And then down here we have, this is the audio computer, the video computer, no, this is a video computer, excuse me. The audio computer is in the other room. The reason I have these curtains here is because these are actually two windows behind here. And so I took and I put rock wool insulation, I put a white cloth, so it looks like a window, it looks like a curtain from outside. And then I took rock wool insulation and put that in there, which is like compressed insulation, and then I put a board over that, caulked it, screwed it to the wall, so we have a completely insulated area, and the sound doesn't really get out and bother anyone else. And then I just hung the curtains back in here because I knew we would eventually sell this place and I would be moving to a larger studio eventually, so I didn't want to make huge permanent changes that were going to just be like a big pain for me to take apart. But yeah, this is the video computer. The other room has the audio computer in it, and I'm trying to see if there's something I'm forgetting. Something I'm forgetting. I don't think there's really anything. That's like, it doesn't take long to tour this place. But this is, everyone always thinks it's bigger than it actually is. This is actually my workspace for the last 4 years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So now we're moving the studio to an interim studio until we move to its final resting place, which will be a freestanding facility. So I'm excited about that. Don't know how many months that'll be, but we are in the works of doing that. So that is something we're working on. And this is the other room of the house. This is the other room that I use for audio. So this is where all the audio goes to, and the snake goes down through that wall. It's kind of a mess right now because we're moving, but goes through that wall. This is another 10 by 11 room. So this is where the audio shoots over here and then shoots back in real time for when I'm streaming, and goes back in there. And then I got some cool stuff I'm pretty excited about. Got this in from Tackle Instruments. A really nice leather gig bag, or stick bag, and then a shirt and keys and drum keys, and then my favorite ever Pat Boone, Debbie Boone shirt. So I'm gonna put that to good use. So that's the big grand tour of the studio I've been working out of for the last 4 years that you've seen me in and followed along to as this thing has grown. And I do want to encourage everybody, like, you don't have to start with big. Big is not where you start. Like, you start with what you have, and you build from there. That's how everything great has started that you use today. You know, Apple Computer started in a garage. You know, all these huge companies, you walk in, you're like, oh crap, they got billions of dollars. Like, they start in small places. They start in garages with just people that have good ideas and want to do something. And so no matter where you are and no matter what you're working on, don't let lack of resources or, you know, apparent lack of resources hinder you. Start doing something, start making stuff, and then grow it from there. Like, grow it organically from there. And I promise, I'm living proof that if you work hard and you put the time in and you really try to think outside of the box, you can make a good living for yourself doing what you love and talking to people like yourself that you would hang out with anyway if they lived here in town.